It has become apparent we cannot ignore one of the conversations that I do my best to avoid because it's coming in our direction from all angles. I don't like talking about coach job security. I'm just letting you in on how I operate. I don't like talking about coaching. I don't like calling for people's jobs. I'll say you need to do this better. I'll say you need to do this better in order to improve your team. I don't love the so-and-so deserves to get fired. Actually, let me go back. I don't mind saying that if it's something, like heinous or they're a bad person.
Yeah, something egregious.
But if it is something like you're not good enough on third downs, I don't like calling for jobs. I'll just try to talk about how I can be better at third downs. But the way we try to listen to listeners, right? The way we try to make sure we're hearing what the fan bases are saying, the fans of multiple teams that we cover are maybe not full force, but there's a loud vocal minority of fans that are calling for head coaches and prominent assistants to be fired. And I just want to make sure we understand what we're doing here. First of all, the coach is under fire. Mack Brown. We've had, we've opened up the phone lines the last few weeks on Mondays. We've had more than our fair share of callers say he needs to go. Dave Doeren, there were chants in the stands. There were people that were not happy with the way NC State's been playing this season.
And leaving the game, too.
Ejiro Evero, even if it is not Canales, coordinators get called out as well. His defense is did some research in here. They are on pace to be the worst defense in NFL history. From a pure points allowed over the entirety of the game, raw total, on pace to be the worst in NFL history. If you want to go, they used to play less games, that's fine. If you take it down to points per game, right now they are giving up 33.8 points per game, the Panthers are. That is good enough for second worst all time in NFL history.
It might be doo-doo.
So there's three guys that I've heard quite a bit of this fired word being thrown around, and I get it. All right, I like I said, I don't like having these conversations. I think it's weird. I wouldn't like if people were talking about my job security or someone I know's job security, but we're here, and when it's attacking us from all angles, I think we need to address it. Part of the reason I don't like talking about it is because I am almost never in favor of firing a coach midseason. Unless he has completely and totally lost the locker room. Like, he sets a rule, no eating in meetings, and people are walking in with bags of crinkly chips just to make sure he knows they're eating in meetings. Like, unless you're that kind of lost, I'm almost never in favor of firing a coach midseason. Off-season, handle your business. Do what you got to do. Off-season, if you got to move on from a guy, you got to move on from a guy. But here's why I'm almost never in favor of it. If you're considering it, your season is probably already gone. No one ever thinks, it's not like benching a running back or something. No one ever thinks, hey, our season started slightly slower than we hope, but I think we can turn it around with a coaching change. It's always, this season is so embarrassing. It's so frustrating. They're so far below expectations. We have to change the coach. And I just don't think that helps the matter. Do you know how many NFL teams, and we'll just use NFL teams because it's more obvious. Do you know how many NFL teams have made the playoffs after a midseason coaching change? None. Jets are going to try. None. Then you have to think of the players. And I think that's why it bothers me so much. Because, I consider myself the lead activist for players' rights. Who did these players commit to? Who did they sign up to play for? Who did they want to play for? Especially in college. I don't think Mack Brown or Dave Doeren have lost the locker room. I don't think they've lost the commitment of their players. So ride it out with that, whatever metaphor you want to use. My playing career, we used to call it the seasoned submarine, right? You go down into that submarine, it's only the people in there. No ins, no outs. Let them finish. You only get 4 years of eligibility, 4.5-ish. COVID, 25 years. I don't remember. 4 years of eligibility is kind of what it's supposed to be. A midseason change ruins one of those. So basically what I'm saying is, for the fans out there, and we hear you, and I want to acknowledge that you're frustrated, and I'm sure it feels good to, like, I want my repercussions. I want somebody to pay for me having to watch that on Saturday, for me having to get made fun of by my buddies on Sunday. Like, I get that you want something, but I'm big on this question. What does it accomplish? My wife sometimes gets mad at me, because something will happen, and not mad at me, but she looks at me confused. If something happens, she's like, "Why aren't you mad?" And I'm like, "What does it accomplish?" Right? Me getting mad at that person, does it fix the situation I'm in? I literally say the terms, what does it accomplish? Firing your coach, what does it accomplish other than making you feel good? It's like punching the wall. What does it accomplish other than you got that energy out? Put a hole in the drywall? Awesome. What did it accomplish? Gave you a chore for next weekend. You got to go patch it.
That's true.
So I'm fine with demanding change. I'm fine with being frustrated that game after game looks the same. It's just I don't think the firing thing gets to where you want to go. Off season, that's when the hard conversations happen. If you want to call for your coach's job in the off season, again, it's not something I'm super excited to discuss, but we can have those conversations. Does the program need to go in a different avenue? Does it need to go in a different direction? Sure. But in season, unless they have completely lost the locker room, in which case it is addition by subtraction. You can get guys bought in and playing hard once again with, the beloved tight end coach that you promote to interim head coach who is more motivator than X's and O's CEO, right? If you want to do that, we can have that conversation. I've seen that work. But if you have two coaches or a coach or a coordinator that the room still respects, very rarely do I see that working out for you. As a matter of fact, we'll use the Jets as an example. Robert Saleh gets fired. Sauce. Got my food nicknames confused. Sauce Gardner was like, nah, to be honest with you, I'm still playing for Coach Saleh. And then what happened? The Jets had a very similar loss to the losses they've been suffering where there's flashes and it doesn't end up working out. Matter of fact, the offense actually looked a lot better. Defense looked worse, and that's where Saleh had his expertise.
Go figure.
By
the way, Aaron points out on our YouTube live chat, Rich Bisaccia made the playoffs with the Raiders back in 2021.
You're right.
Yeah.
I guess I have to go check my source on that one. But good fact check there.
Yeah. I forgot about that one too. Because they went to Josh McDaniels.
Maybe that was it. I read the stats.
They got to the playoffs, lost in the in the wild
I'll double
card
check
round.
that. I'll double check that. But thank you for keeping me honest. I think it must have been one a playoff, but I'll double check that during the commercial break.
Nonetheless, few and far between.
Exactly, and ironically, they didn't roll with Bisaccia there, and they
now
did roll
two head coaches later.
They did roll with Pierce, and that one's not looking the best. But that's neither here nor there. My point, and actually, you could argue that was one of those separate cases I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that whole situation was a crazy one. Obviously, Gruden with the money and everything, he wasn't fired for football reasons.
Yeah,
he was fired for other reasons. And I don't see the other reasons coming into play for any of the guys we've mentioned. They all seem like upstanding individuals. It's. If you want to do it, obviously I can't tell you what to do or what not to do. I just don't know if it's going to reach the result that you're hoping for. A lost season is a lot of times a lost season. And changing the captain of the ship just means you're sinking with a different guy holding the wheel.